When ambitious chef Maya Collins took a last-minute catering job at a tech billionaire's mansion, she never imagined she'd be mistaken for a gold digger targeting the wealthy heir, only to discover he was the same boy whose heart she broke 15 years ago. The autumn rain pelted against Maya's weathered Toyota as she pulled up to the imposing iron gates of the Westlake Estate. Her GPS announced she had arrived at her destination, but Maya double-checked the address on her phone. This couldn't be right. The sprawling mansion, perched on the San Francisco hillside, looked like something out of a magazine, not the venue for the small dinner party her friend Zoe had desperately called her to cater at the last minute. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. You can do this, Maya whispered to herself, adjusting the rearview mirror to check her appearance. At 33, the lines around her eyes told the story of a decade spent in hot kitchens chasing a dream that kept slipping from her grasp. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, and she wore minimal makeup. She'd come straight from her shift at Bella Luna, the mid-tier Italian restaurant where she worked as a sous chef, a position well below her training and talent. Maya pressed the intercom button at the gate, her heart pounding. "Maya Collins, I'm the caterer for tonight's event." After a moment of static, a crisp voice responded, "Please drive up to the service entrance on the east side of the property." The gates swung open silently, and Maya drove her car, painfully out of place among the luxury vehicles, parked along the curved driveway, toward the indicated entrance. She had barely turned off the engine when a harried-looking woman in a tailored suit emerged from a side door. "You must be Maya. Thank God you're here. I'm Vivian, Mr. Westlake's personal assistant. The other caterer canceled an hour ago, and we have 20 guests arriving in 3 hours." Vivian barely paused for breath as she led Maya through a service corridor into the most impressive kitchen she had ever seen. Gleaming copper pots hung from a rack above a massive island. 6-burner professional ranges lined one wall, and the refrigerator was larger than Maya's entire apartment kitchen. For a moment, she forgot her nervousness as professional appreciation took over. "This kitchen is incredible," she breathed. "Mr. Westlake had it custom designed by a chef from Paris," Vivian said dismissively. "Now, can you handle this? It's a business dinner with potential investors. Everything needs to be perfect." Maya straightened her shoulders. "I trained at Le Cordon Bleu and worked under Chef Renaud in New York. I can handle it." The words came out more confidently than she felt. She hadn't led a high-profile dinner service in 2 years, not since the disaster that had cost her her position as head chef at one of San Francisco's most acclaimed restaurants. Vivian looked somewhat reassured. "Good. The menu and ingredients are all here. Mr. Westlake requested his signature 5-course tasting menu. Can you follow these recipes?" Maya scanned the printed menu. Seared scallops with citrus reduction, mushroom risotto with truffle oil, rack of lamb with rosemary gess, a seasonal vegetable tart, and dark chocolate soufflé for dessert. Classic dishes, but executed with sophisticated twists. "Yes, I can do this." Maya was already rolling up her sleeves and taking inventory of the ingredients laid out on the counter. High-quality everything, from the freshly caught seafood to the imported truffles. "Excellent. I'll check on you in an hour." Vivian turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Maya? Mr. Westlake's son, Alexander, is hosting tonight. He's particular about his food. Please make sure everything is exactly as specified." Left alone in the kitchen, Maya took a deep breath and got to work. This job was paying triple her usual rate, and the extra money could help her older sister with her mounting medical bills. Emily's rheumatoid arthritis had worsened over the past year, and the treatments were expensive. As the only family they had left after their parents died in a car accident years ago, Maya had put her own dreams on hold to help care for her sister. For the next 2 hours, Maya worked with focused precision, falling into the rhythm that had once made her one of San Francisco's most promising young chefs. The familiar motions of chopping, searing, and plating calmed her nerves. This was what she was born to do, what she had trained for years to perfect. In this kitchen, with these ingredients, she could almost forget the mistakes that had derailed her career. As she was preparing the delicate chocolate soufflés, the kitchen door swung open. Maya glanced up, expecting to see Vivian, but instead found herself face to face with a tall man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. His dark hair was styled with casual precision, and his jawline could have been carved from marble. Something about him struck her as familiar, but she couldn't place it. "How's everything coming along?" he asked, his voice deep and confident as he approached the island where she worked. "On schedule," Maya replied professionally, continuing to prepare the desserts. "The first course will be ready to serve in 40 minutes. The man picked up a spoon and dipped it into the risotto, tasting it thoughtfully. Maya bristled at the intrusion but said nothing. "More salt," he declared, "and the truffle flavor could be more pronounced." Maya fought to keep her expression neutral. The risotto was perfectly seasoned according to the recipe, but this must be Alexander Westlake, and she needed this job. "I'll adjust it," she said tightly. The man studied her face more closely, his brow furrowing slightly. "Have we met before? You look familiar." Maya shook her head, avoiding his gaze as she added a pinch more salt to the risotto. "I don't think so, Mr. Westlake. Please, call me Alex." He continued to watch her with an intensity that made her uncomfortable. "Where did you train?" "Le Cordon Bleu," Maya answered, focusing on her work. "And you normally work?" "At Bella Luna. I'm filling in as a favor to a friend." Maya didn't mention her previous positions or accolades. Those days were behind her. Alex leaned against the counter, blocking her path to the refrigerator. "A chef with Cordon Bleu training working at Bella Luna? That's like having a Ferrari and only driving it in school zones." Maya finally looked up, meeting his gaze directly. "Sometimes life takes unexpected turns, Mr. Westlake. Not everyone has the luxury of pursuing their passions without consequences." A flash of something, surprise perhaps, or recognition, crossed his face. Before he could respond, Vivian appeared at the door. "Alex, your guests are starting to arrive. You should be greeting them." With a last curious glance at Maya, Alex straightened his jacket and left the kitchen. Maya released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. There was something about him that nagged at her memory, but she pushed the thought aside. She had a dinner to prepare. The evening progressed smoothly. Maya sent out course after perfect course, receiving compliments relayed back by the servers. Despite her initial nervousness, she found herself enjoying the challenge, remembering what it felt like to create food worthy of appreciation. As she was plating the soufflés, carefully ensuring each one was perfectly risen, the kitchen door opened again. This time, a woman entered, blonde, slim, and dressed in a red designer gown that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. Her face was beautiful in that sculpted way that spoke of expensive skincare and subtle cosmetic work. "So you're the chef," the woman said, her voice cool and appraising as she looked Maya up and down. "Everyone's raving about the food. Alex seems particularly impressed." "Thank you," Maya responded politely, continuing her work. "I'm glad it's been well received." The woman approached, watching Maya's hands as she dusted powdered sugar over the desserts. "I'm Camille Porter, Alex's fiancé." Maya nodded, unsurprised. Of course, a man like Alexander Westlake would be engaged to someone like Camille. Beautiful, polished, and clearly from the same privileged world. "Congratulations," Maya said automatically. "You know, it's interesting," Camille continued, her tone casual but her eyes sharp. "Alex rarely comments on the catering, but he seemed quite interested in you. Have you two met before?" "No," Maya answered firmly. "This is my first time working here." Camille made a non-committal sound. "Well, just so you know, Alex has a bit of a reputation. Women tend to find excuses to get close to him. And his fortune. It happens all the time." The implication was clear, and Maya felt her cheeks warm with indignation. "I'm just here to do my job, Miss Porter. Now, if you'll excuse me, these soufflés need to be served immediately, or they'll fall." She brushed past Camille, carrying the tray of desserts to the waiting server, who whisked them away to the dining room. When she returned to the kitchen, Camille was gone, but her words lingered unpleasantly in the air. By the time the dinner ended and the guests departed, it was past midnight. Maya was exhausted but satisfied with her work. She had just finished cleaning the kitchen when Alex returned. "The dinner was exceptional," he said, loosening his tie. "Everyone was impressed, especially with the soufflé. It's notoriously difficult to get right for large parties. Thank you, Maya replied, wiping down the counter one last time. I'm glad it met your expectations. Alex moved closer, studying her with that same intensity from earlier. You know, I can't shake the feeling that we've met before. Where did you say you worked previously? Maya hesitated. I've worked at several restaurants in the city, such as Laurel's for a time. She didn't elaborate further. Alex's eyes widened slightly. You worked at Laurel's? Under Chef Dominic? Maya nodded reluctantly. Wait a minute. His expression changed as realization dawned. Maya Collins, you were the rising star chef who had a very public meltdown and got fired. Maya finished for him, her voice tight. Yes, that was me. 2 years ago, after working herself to exhaustion trying to maintain Laurel's prestigious reputation while dealing with her sister's worsening condition, Maya had snapped. A scathing review from a food critic, combined with a particularly difficult dinner service and news that her sister had been hospitalized, had pushed her over the edge. She'd lost her temper in front of a restaurant full of diners, including several food bloggers who had gleefully documented her breakdown. The incident had gone viral, and her career had never recovered. I remember reading about that, Alex said slowly. But the articles didn't capture the whole story, did they? They rarely do. Maya gathered her personal belongings, ready to leave. Anyway, that's in the past. Vivian has my information for payment. Good night, Mr. Westlake. Wait. Alex blocked her path to the door. There's something else. Something about you that I can't quite place. Maya sighed, too tired for more questions. It's late, and I have an early shift tomorrow. Mayberry, Alex said suddenly, his eyes lighting with recognition. Mayberry High School, class of 2009. You're Maya Collins, from Mrs. Patterson's AP English class. The name of their high school hit Maya like a physical blow. She stared at Alex, really seeing him for the first time. Beyond the expensive suit and confident demeanor was a face she had once known well. Very well. Xander? She whispered, using the nickname only his closest friends had used back then. Xander West? Alex. Xander smiled, though there was something guarded in his expression. I go by Alexander Westlake now. My father thought West wasn't impressive enough for the business world. Maya felt lightheaded as memories flooded back. Xander West had been her first love, the quiet, brilliant boy from the wrong side of town who had earned a scholarship to their prestigious private school. They had been inseparable during senior year, planning a future together until— I didn't recognize you, she said weakly. 15 years and a few $1 million will do that to a person, he replied, a hint of bitterness in his tone. The tension between them was palpable, laden with unspoken history. Maya had been the one to end things, breaking both their hearts the night before graduation. Her parents had died just weeks earlier, leaving her responsible for her younger sister. Her plans for culinary school in Paris had been shattered, replaced by the immediate need to work and provide. She'd pushed Xander away, convinced he deserved better than a future tied to her burdens. You disappeared, Alex said quietly. After graduation, you didn't come to any of the summer gatherings. Your number was disconnected. It was like you vanished. I had to move in with my aunt in Chicago, Maya explained. I had to take care of Emily. There wasn't time for goodbyes, he finished. For explanations? Before Maya could respond, the kitchen door opened once more. Camille stood there, her expression souring as she took in the scene before her. Alex, darling, everyone's gone. Are you coming up? Her gaze shifted to Maya, suspicious and territorial. In a minute, Alex replied, not taking his eyes off Maya. Camille's lips thinned. Don't be too long. We have an early meeting with the wedding planner tomorrow. She retreated, leaving the door pointedly ajar. Congratulations on your engagement, Maya said stiffly, desperate to escape this unexpected collision with her past. Alex didn't acknowledge the comment. Are you still in touch with anyone from Mayberry? Maya shook her head. No. After my parents died, I cut ties with everyone. It was easier that way. So you don't know what happened after you left? I don't know what you mean. Alex ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made Maya's chest ache with nostalgia. I looked for you, Maya. For months, I deferred my acceptance to MIT and spent the summer trying to find you. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The revelation stunned her. You? What? But you had that full scholarship, your ticket out. You were more important, he said simply. Maya felt tears threatening and blinked them back furiously. I need to go. Give me your number, Alex insisted. We should talk. Properly. I don't think that's a good idea. Your fiancé already thinks I'm after your money. Alex's expression darkened. What did Camille say to you? Nothing that wasn't obvious. Maya shouldered her bag. Goodbye, Xander. Alexander, it was unexpected seeing you again. She pushed past him and hurried down the hallway, desperate for escape. Behind her, she heard him call her name, but she didn't turn back. Her past and present had collided in the most unlikely way, and she needed space to process. As she drove home to her small apartment, memories she'd long suppressed came flooding back. Xander had been brilliant but poor, a scholarship student with dreams of changing the world through technology. They'd fallen in love despite coming from different worlds. Her family comfortable and stable until the accident, his mother working multiple jobs to keep them afloat after his father abandoned them. The irony wasn't lost on her. Now their positions were reversed. Xander Alexander was the wealthy one, engaged to a woman who epitomized the privilege Maya had once taken for granted. And Maya was struggling, her promising career derailed, working jobs beneath her skill level to help care for her sister. When she arrived home, she found Emily asleep on the couch, an open book on her chest. At 30, Emily's once active life had been curtailed by her illness, but she never complained. Maya gently removed the book and covered her sister with a blanket, careful not to wake her. In the quiet of her bedroom, Maya finally allowed herself to feel the full impact of the evening's revelations. Seeing Xander again had unearthed emotions she'd thought long buried. The boy she'd loved had become a man she hardly recognized, successful, powerful, and engaged to someone else. It was exactly what she had wanted for him when she'd pushed him away, so why did it hurt so much? Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Maya stared at the message, her heart racing. How had he gotten her number? Then she remembered. Vivian had her contact information for the catering job. Another text followed. I never got to tell you my side of the story. Coffee tomorrow, please. Maya hesitated, her finger hovering over the screen. Logic told her to ignore the message, to maintain the boundaries she'd established 15 years ago. But something else, curiosity perhaps, or the lingering echo of first love, made her type a response. One coffee, that's all. Send me the place and time. The next morning, Maya woke early, her mind still churning with thoughts of the previous night. Emily was already up, preparing tea in their small kitchen despite the obvious pain in her swollen hands. Let me do that, Maya insisted, taking the kettle from her sister. Emily smiled gratefully. How was the fancy catering job? Did you hobnob with the elite? It was complicated. Maya hesitated, then decided to tell her sister everything. Emily had been only 15 when their parents died, too young to fully understand Maya's relationship with Xander and the decisions she'd made afterward. As Maya recounted the evening's events, Emily's eyes widened. Wait, your high school boyfriend is Alexander Westlake, the tech billionaire? Apparently so, Maya confirmed, pouring their tea. He wants to meet for coffee today. And you're going, right? Emily looked at her expectantly. I don't see the point. It was 15 years ago. He's engaged. We've both moved on. Emily reached across the table to take Maya's hand. Have you, though? Really moved on? Because in all the years since high school, I've never seen you let anyone get close to you." Maya withdrew her hand, uncomfortable with her sister's perception. "That has nothing to do with Xander. My career has been my focus." "And how's that working out for you?" Emily asked gently. "You're incredibly talented, Maya, but you've been stuck in jobs beneath your abilities ever since the incident at Laurel's. Maybe it's time to stop punishing yourself and take a chance on your career and maybe even on reconnecting with someone who once meant everything to you." Maya sighed, knowing her sister was right about at least part of what she said. She had been drifting since her public downfall, too afraid of failure to pursue opportunities worthy of her skills. "He's engaged, Em. To a woman who made it very clear she sees me as a gold digger trying to get her hooks into her wealthy fiancé." "All the more reason to meet him and clear the air," Emily argued. "Besides, aren't you at least curious about how Xander West became Alexander Westlake, tech billionaire?" Maya had to admit she was curious. The transformation seemed improbable. The Xander she had known had been brilliant but shy, more comfortable with computer code than with people. "Fine," she conceded. "One coffee." "For closure." Emily grinned triumphantly. "Wear the blue blouse. It brings out your eyes." Despite her sister's teasing, Maya dressed carefully for the meeting, choosing the suggested blouse and a pair of jeans that she knew flattered her figure. She told herself it was professional pride, not a desire to impress her former love. The coffee shop Alex had suggested was in a quiet neighborhood, away from the financial district where Maya imagined he normally conducted business. When she arrived, 10 minutes early, he was already there, seated at a corner table. He dressed down in jeans and a simple gray sweater that reminded her more of the boy she'd known than the polished executive from the previous night. He stood when he saw her, a smile breaking across his face. "You came." "I said I would," Maya replied, sitting across from him. A coffee was already waiting for her, oat milk latte with an extra shot, her favorite from high school. "You remembered my order." "I remember everything about you, Maya," Alex said quietly. The simple statement hung between them, loaded with implications. Maya busied herself with her coffee, unsure how to respond. "So," she said finally, "Alexander Westlake, how did that happen?" Alex leaned back in his chair. "The short version? I went to MIT, developed a security algorithm in my dorm room, and got bought out by Richard Westlake's company before graduation. He saw potential in me, mentored me, and eventually adopted me when I was 24. His biological son had died years earlier, and he wanted an heir for his business empire." Maya blinked, processing this unexpected story. "He adopted you as an adult?" Alex nodded. "It sounds strange, I know. Richard is a complicated man. Brilliant, driven, sometimes ruthless. But he gave me opportunities I never would have had otherwise. Taking his name was part of the deal. And you were okay with that? Becoming someone else?" Something flickered in Alex's eyes. "I became the version of myself that could succeed in his world. We all adapt to survive, don't we?" The question felt pointed and Maya shifted uncomfortably. "I suppose we do." "Your turn," Alex said. "What happened after you left?" "I know about your parents' accident, but not much else." Maya traced the rim of her cup with her finger. "My aunt in Chicago took us in, but she was older and not equipped to handle a teenager with depression and a traumatized child. I worked through culinary school, taking care of Emily, then moved back to San Francisco when I got my first real kitchen job. Emily followed when she finished college." "And now she's sick," Alex said, not a question. Maya looked up, surprised. "How did you know that?" "I may have done some research after seeing you last night," he admitted. "Rheumatoid arthritis. Diagnosed 5 years ago. It's been getting worse." "You had no right to dig into my personal life," Maya said, anger flaring. "Probably not," Alex agreed calmly. "But I spent 15 years wondering what happened to you. Can you blame me for wanting answers?" "What do you want from me, Alex?" Maya asked directly. "Why are we here?" "Honesty," he replied without hesitation. "I want to know why you really ended things between us. Was it just because of your parents and Emily? Or was there more to it?" Maya felt cornered by the directness of his question. She'd spent years burying these feelings, convincing herself she'd made the right choice. "I was 18 and suddenly responsible for a child," she said defensively. "My plans for Paris were impossible. Your scholarship to MIT was your only way out of poverty. What was I supposed to do? Ask you to give up your future for me?" "You could have given me a choice," Alex said, his voice tight with controlled emotion. "Instead, you made the decision for both of us. Do you know what that did to me? To be discarded by the person I loved most, without even a proper explanation?" The raw hurt in his voice made Maya flinch. "I thought I was doing the right thing. By disappearing? By cutting me out completely?" Alex leaned forward. "I would have followed you anywhere, Maya. I would have found a way to make it work. But you never gave us that chance." Maya stared at Alex, the weight of his words sinking in. The coffee between them had grown cold, forgotten in the wake of emotions 15 years in the making. "I was trying to protect you," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "You had this brilliant future ahead of you. I was drowning in grief and responsibility. What kind of person would I have been to drag you down with me?" "Someone who trusted me to make my own choices," Alex replied, the hurt evident in his eyes. "Someone who believed in us enough to at least try." Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. Emily's name flashed on the screen. "I need to take this," she said, grateful for the interruption. "It's my sister." Alex nodded, sitting back to give her space. "Em? Everything okay?" Maya asked, concern evident in her voice. "Don't panic," Emily said, her voice strained, "but I fell trying to get something from the top shelf. I think I might need to go to the hospital. My wrist is really swollen." Maya was already on her feet. "I'm coming right now. Don't move." "What's wrong?" Alex asked as she ended the call. "Emily fell. I need to go." Maya gathered her purse, hands trembling slightly. Without hesitation, Alex stood. "I'll drive you." "That's not necessary." "Maya," he said firmly. "Let me help. Please." Something in his tone, the quiet determination that had always been part of him, made Maya nod. "Okay." Alex's car was parked nearby, a sleek but understated luxury sedan. As they drove to Maya's apartment, she explained Emily's condition, the progressive arthritis that had gradually limited her once active sister's mobility and independence. "She's in a clinical trial for a new medication," Maya said. "It was showing promise, but lately she's been having more flare-ups. The medical bills." She trailed off, not wanting to sound like she was angling for financial help. Alex glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "That must be difficult for both of you." When they arrived at the apartment building, Alex insisted on coming up. Maya was too worried about her sister to argue. They found Emily sitting on the kitchen floor, her back against the cabinets cradling her wrist. Despite her obvious pain, she raised her eyebrows at the sight of Alex. "So this is the famous Xander," she said, attempting a smile. "Emily, not now," Maya warned, kneeling beside her. "Let me see your wrist." As Maya gently examined the injury, Alex crouched down on Emily's other side. "I'm gonna help you up, okay?" he said. "Put your good arm around my shoulder." With surprising gentleness for a man of his stature, Alex helped Emily to her feet and guided her to the sofa. "Do you have a first aid kit?" he asked Maya. "Bathroom cabinet," she replied, surprised by his calm efficiency. Alex returned with the kit and some ice wrapped in a towel. As he carefully placed the ice on Emily's wrist, Maya watched him with new eyes. This wasn't the awkward, brilliant boy she'd known, nor the polished executive from the previous night. This was someone else entirely. Someone who knew how to take charge in a crisis without taking over. "We should get you to the ER," Maya told her sister. "That wrist needs an X-ray." Emily grimaced. "The copay is going to wipe out what we made from that catering job." Maya saw Alex's expression shift, but he said nothing. At the hospital, Alex didn't simply drop them off. He parked the car and came inside, staying with them through the long wait in the emergency room. When a nurse finally called Emily's name, Maya moved to follow, but her sister shook her head. "You two stay here," Emily insisted. "Continue your conversation. I'm a big girl." Before Maya could protest, Emily was being wheeled away. Left alone with Alex in the sterile waiting room, Maya felt suddenly vulnerable. "You didn't have to stay," she said, staring at the institutional artwork on the opposite wall. "I wanted to." Alex's voice was quiet but firm. "I still care, Maya. 15 years doesn't change that." The simple admission hung between them. Maya's throat tightened with emotions she couldn't name. "Your fiancé must be wondering where you are," she said finally. Alex's expression darkened. "Camille and I have a complicated relationship." "What does that mean?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. That familiar gesture again. "It means our engagement is more of a business arrangement than a love match. Her father is a major investor in Westlake Technologies. The merger," he stopped himself. "That sounds cold." "I'm not explaining this well." "You're marrying her for business reasons?" Maya couldn't keep the judgment from her voice. "It's not that simple." Alex looked genuinely troubled. "Camille and I have known each other for years. We get along well enough. She understands the world I operate in." It made sense at the time. "At the time," Maya repeated. "And now?" Their eyes met, and the intensity of his gaze made her breath catch. "Now I'm not sure of anything, except that seeing you again has turned my world upside down." Before Maya could respond, a doctor approached them. "Are you here with Emily Collins?" Maya stood quickly. "Yes, I'm her sister. How is she?" "She has a hairline fracture in her wrist. We've put on a temporary cast, but she'll need to see an orthopedic specialist in the next few days. Given her arthritis, we want to make sure it heals properly." "Can I see her now?" "Of course. She's in room 115. The nurse is preparing her discharge papers." As Maya started to follow the doctor, Alex touched her arm lightly. "I'll wait here." In the exam room, Emily was sitting up, her wrist encased in a blue fiberglass cast. Despite the situation, she looked almost smug. "So that's Alexander Westlake," she said the moment Maya entered. "No wonder you never got over him." "I'm perfectly over him," Maya insisted, checking her sister's chart. "And keep your voice down. He's still in love with you," Emily continued, ignoring the warning. "It's written all over his face. He's engaged, Em, to a woman he clearly doesn't love." Emily winced as she shifted position. "The way he looks at you when you're not watching. Trust me, that's not a man who's moved on." Maya felt a flush creep up her neck. "We need to focus on you right now. The doctor says you need to see a specialist." "Don't change the subject," Emily said stubbornly. "What happened at coffee before I interrupted?" Maya sighed, knowing her sister wouldn't let it go. "He's upset that I ended things without giving him a choice. He thinks I should have trusted him more." "He's right," Emily said bluntly. "You've always done that, made decisions for everyone else because you think you know best. You did it with Xander, and you've been doing it with me for years." "That's not fair," Maya protested. "I've only ever tried to help." "By sacrificing everything you want? By working jobs beneath your talent? By avoiding relationships?" Emily's voice softened. "Maya, you've spent 15 years putting everyone else first. Maybe it's time to consider what you want for once." Before Maya could respond, a nurse entered with discharge papers and instructions for Emily's care. By the time they finished, Alex was waiting in the hallway, his phone in hand. "Everything okay?" he asked, looking between the sisters. "Just a small fracture," Emily assured him, holding up her cast. "Nothing that won't heal." "I've taken the liberty of making some calls," Alex said, his tone businesslike but gentle. "Dr. Sarah Chen is the best orthopedic specialist in the city, particularly for patients with autoimmune conditions. She's agreed to see you tomorrow morning." Maya stared at him. "How did you manage that?" "She usually has a 6-month waiting list." "Let's just say I know people who know people," Alex replied with a small smile. "And I've arranged for a car to take you there and back." "That's incredibly kind," Emily said before Maya could object. "Thank you." On the drive back to their apartment, Emily fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the ordeal. Maya sat beside Alex in the front, acutely aware of his presence. "You didn't have to do all this," she said quietly, not wanting to wake her sister. "I know," Alex replied, keeping his eyes on the road. "But I wanted to." "Why?" He glanced at her briefly. "Do you really need to ask?" The question hung between them, unanswered, but understood. When they reached the apartment building, Alex carried a half-asleep Emily upstairs, despite Maya's protests that she could manage. After helping settle Emily in her bedroom, Alex and Maya stood in the small living room, the air between them charged with unspoken words. "Thank you," Maya said finally, "for everything today." "No thanks necessary." Alex hesitated, then added, "I'd like to continue our conversation sometime. When things are calmer." Maya nodded, knowing they had left too much unsaid. "I'd like that too." At the door, Alex paused. "For what it's worth, Maya, I understand why you did what you did back then. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. You've always put others first. It's who you are." His gaze was intense, searching. "But sometimes, it's okay to put yourself first, too." With those words hanging in the air, he left, the door closing softly behind him. The next morning, as promised, a car arrived to take Emily to her appointment with Dr. Chen. Maya accompanied her, taking the day off from the restaurant despite knowing it would mean a smaller paycheck. Dr. Chen turned out to be a petite, no-nonsense woman, with kind eyes and impressive credentials displayed on her office wall. After examining Emily thoroughly, she suggested a more aggressive treatment plan and recommended specific changes to Emily's medication regimen. "This approach has shown promising results in cases like yours," Dr. Chen explained. "But I should warn you that some of these medications aren't fully covered by most insurance plans." Maya's heart sank. They were already struggling with the current medical bills. "Let's not worry about that right now," Emily said, shooting Maya a warning look. "What matters is finding the right treatment." On the ride home, Emily was unusually quiet, staring out the window at the passing city. "What are you thinking?" Maya asked finally. "I'm thinking it's time for some changes," Emily replied, still looking outside. "I can't keep being the reason you put your life on hold." "You're not." "I am," Emily interrupted firmly. "You gave up Paris for me. You worked 3 jobs to put me through college. You've taken care of me since you were 18 years old, Maya. It's enough." "What are you saying?" Emily turned to face her. "I'm saying that I'm applying for that residency program at the Artists' Colony in New Mexico, the one with on-site medical support." Maya blinked in surprise. Emily had mentioned the program months ago, a community for artists with chronic illnesses that provided both studio space and medical care. But Maya had assumed it was just a dream. "The application deadline is next week," Emily continued. "I've already started the paperwork, and before you ask, yes, it's affordable. They have scholarships. But your treatments, your doctors here." "They have doctors there too," Emily said gently. "Good ones. And I've been in touch with other residents who have RA. They're thriving, Maya." Maya sat back, processing this unexpected development. For 15 years, her life had revolved around caring for her sister. The idea of Emily living independently, hundreds of miles away, was both thrilling and terrifying. "I don't know what to say," she admitted. Emily reached over to squeeze her hand. "Say you'll support me in this. Say you'll use the opportunity to finally pursue your own dreams again." When they arrived home, Maya found a large floral arrangement waiting at their door, elegant white lilies and blue hydrangeas. The card read simply, "Hope Emily is feeling better. Would like to continue our conversation. Dinner tomorrow? Alex." Emily picked up the card and smiled knowingly. "Seems like the universe is aligning to give you a second chance, big sister. Don't waste it." That night, Maya lay awake for hours, her mind racing with possibilities she hadn't allowed herself to consider in years. Emily's decision to apply for the residency program had shaken loose something inside her, a permission she hadn't realized she'd been waiting for. The next morning, she called her boss at Bella Luna. "I need to give my notice," she said firmly. 2 weeks. "What?" "Maya, you're the best sous chef we've had in years," her boss protested. "Where are you going?" "I don't know yet," she answered truthfully. "But it's time for me to find out." Her next call was to Alex, accepting his dinner invitation. She spent the day helping Emily with her residency application and researching culinary opportunities that had once seemed impossible dreams. When evening came, Maya dressed with care, choosing a simple black dress that made her feel confident. Alex had suggested a small French restaurant in North Beach, not one of the city's trendiest spots, but a place known for excellent food and a warm atmosphere. He was waiting at a corner table when she arrived, looking more relaxed than she'd seen him yet. He stood when he spotted her, his eyes warming appreciatively. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "Thank you." Maya settled into her chair, suddenly nervous. "How did you know about this place?" "It's not exactly on the society circuit." Alex smiled. "I still appreciate good food, Maya. Some things haven't changed." As they ordered, Maya found herself relaxing into the familiarity of discussing menu choices and wine pairings with someone who understood her passion. It reminded her of their high school days, when they would save up to try new restaurants, analyzing each dish with the seriousness of food critics. "Emily told me about her plans," Maya said after their appetizers arrived. "The artists' colony in New Mexico." Alex nodded. "She mentioned it yesterday when I called to check on her. It sounds like an incredible opportunity." "You called to check on her?" "Of course." Alex looked surprised by her reaction. "I was concerned." Maya studied him, this man who seemed both familiar and strange. "You've changed so much from the boy I knew." "In some ways," he agreed. "But my core values are the same. I still believe in helping where I can, in using whatever advantages I have to make a difference." He hesitated, then added, "And I still believe in you, Maya. I always have." The simple statement hit her with unexpected force. "Even after I hurt you?" "Even then." Alex's gaze was steady. "I was angry for a long time. Confused. But part of me always understood that you were doing what you thought was right. That's who you are. Someone who puts others first, even at great cost to yourself." "I'm trying to change that," Maya admitted. "I gave notice at the restaurant today." Alex's eyebrows rose. "Really? What prompted that?" "Emily, partly. Seeing you again, partly." Maya took a sip of her wine. "Mostly, I think I'm finally ready to stop punishing myself for past mistakes. Both with you and with my career." "The incident at Laurel's wasn't your fault," Alex said quietly. "I read the full story. You were exhausted, working impossible hours while dealing with Emily's diagnosis. Anyone would have broken under that pressure." "The food world doesn't forgive public meltdowns," Maya said ruefully. "Once you're labeled difficult or unstable, doors close." "Then open your own door," Alex suggested. "Start your own place. Create your own rules." Maya laughed softly. "That takes capital I don't have." "What if you did?" Alex leaned forward. "What if money wasn't an obstacle? What kind of restaurant would you create?" The question sparked something in Maya, a vision she'd carried but never fully articulated. "Something small," she began slowly. "Maybe 25 seats. A place where the menu changes daily based on what's fresh and inspiring. No pretension, just honest, beautiful food that tells a story." Her voice grew more animated as she continued, describing her dream in vivid detail. Alex listened intently, asking thoughtful questions that helped her refine the concept. By the time their entrees arrived, Maya felt lighter than she had in years, buoyed by the simple joy of sharing her passion without self-censorship. "You've thought about this a lot," Alex observed. Maya nodded. "In the quiet moments. Late at night. It's always been there, waiting for me to be brave enough to pursue it. And now? Now I'm starting to believe it might be possible. She gave him a small smile. Emily says I've spent 15 years putting everyone else first. Maybe it's time for that to change. I have a proposition for you, Alex said carefully, and I want you to hear me out before you respond. Maya tensed slightly. Okay. Westlake Technologies has a foundation that provides grants to promising entrepreneurs. The selection process is rigorous and completely independent from the main company. I'd like you to apply. Alex? He held up a hand. Let me finish. This isn't charity, Maya. It's an investment in talent. Your talent. The committee makes decisions based solely on the strength of the business plan and the character of the applicant. I have no direct influence over their choices. Maya considered his words. You really believe I could qualify? I believe you could win, Alex said firmly. But even if you don't, the process of creating a detailed business plan would be valuable. It would force you to confront whether this is really what you want. The offer was tempting, a path forward that didn't feel like a handout. I'll think about it, she promised. As the evening progressed, they moved beyond career talk to more personal revelations. Alex told her about his journey from MIT dropout to tech entrepreneur, the failures and setbacks that had shaped his success. Maya shared stories of her culinary adventures, the mentors who had believed in her when she'd stopped believing in herself. Neither mentioned their past relationship directly, but it hummed beneath their conversation like a familiar melody. By the time they finished dessert, Maya felt as though she was seeing the complete picture of Alex for the first time. Not just the boy she'd loved or the billionaire who'd surprised her, but the complex, thoughtful man who had emerged from both. Outside the restaurant, standing close in the cool night air, Alex hesitated. I'd like to see you again, Maya, but I need to be honest about my situation with Camille. I wasn't asking. I know, he interrupted gently, but I need to say this. The engagement was announced, but nothing is finalized. I've been having doubts for months, well before seeing you again. Camille knows this. Why stay engaged then? Alex sighed. Business entanglements, family expectations, the usual complications of my world. But seeing you again has forced me to confront the truth. I can't build a life with someone I don't love, no matter how convenient the arrangement. The word love hung in the air between them, loaded with implication. What are you saying, Alex? Maya asked directly. I'm saying I need time to handle this situation properly. Camille deserves that much, whatever her faults. But I also need you to know that what's happening between us, this reconnection, it matters to me, more than I can express right now. Maya appreciated his honesty. I understand. I need time too. Everything is changing so quickly. Emily, my job, seeing you again. I need to find my footing. Alex nodded, relief evident in his expression. Then we give each other time. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people rediscovering each other. As they said goodnight, Alex leaned in slowly, giving Maya time to pull away if she wished. Instead, she met him halfway, their lips touching in a gentle kiss that carried echoes of their past and promises of a possible future. The next 2 weeks passed in a whirlwind of change. Maya worked her notice at Bella Luna while beginning to draft a business plan for her restaurant concept. Emily received notification that her application for the artist's residency had advanced to the final round of consideration, necessitating a video interview that left her simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. Through it all, Alex remained a steady presence, respecting Maya's need for space while making it clear he was there when she needed him. They met for coffee, for walks along the waterfront, for quiet dinners where they continued to rebuild the bridge between their past and present selves. Then came the evening that changed everything. Maya was working late at the restaurant when Vivian, Alex's assistant, appeared at the kitchen door. Miss Collins, I need you to come with me immediately. The formal tone and Vivian's tense expression sent a chill through Maya. What's happened? Is it Alex? Emily? Everyone's physically fine, Vivian assured her. But there's a situation developing that concerns you directly. Mr. Westlake asked me to bring you to the office. Confused and increasingly worried, Maya removed her apron and followed Vivian to a waiting car. During the drive to the Westlake building, Vivian remained tight-lipped, responding to Maya's questions with polite but uninformative answers. When they arrived, Vivian led her not to Alex's office but to a large conference room where several people were gathered around a table. Alex was there, his expression grim, along with an older man Maya recognized from news articles as Richard Westlake. Camille sat opposite them, her perfect features arranged in a mask of cold fury. On the table between them lay several tabloid magazines and printouts of online articles. As Maya approached, she caught sight of the headlines: Westlake heir caught with kitchen help, and gold digger chef snares billionaire. The cover of one magazine featured a grainy photo of their kiss outside the French restaurant. "What is this?" Maya asked, her voice barely audible. "Character assassination," Alex said tightly. "Camille has been feeding information to the tabloids." Camille's laugh was brittle. "Don't be so dramatic, darling. I merely confirmed what everyone already suspected, that you're throwing away our future for a fling with the help. That's enough, Camille." Richard Westlake's voice was quiet but carried unmistakable authority. Maya felt as though she'd stepped into a nightmare. The articles painted her as a calculating opportunist who had deliberately infiltrated the Westlake household to seduce Alex. One particularly vicious piece had even dug up the incident at Laurel's, describing her as unstable and volatile. "I should go," she said, backing toward the door. The humiliation was overwhelming. "No!" Alex stood, moving to her side. "This is exactly what Camille wants, to drive you away with these lies." "They're not all lies," Camille countered smoothly. "She did have a public meltdown. She did lose her job in disgrace. And now, miraculously, she's found her way into the bed of one of San Francisco's wealthiest bachelors. Connect the dots, Alexander." "We haven't," Maya began, then stopped herself. She didn't owe this woman any explanations. "The engagement is over, Camille," Alex said firmly. "It has been for weeks, and you know it. This vindictive display only confirms I made the right decision." Camille's composure slipped. "You're throwing away everything for her? A failed chef with a sob story and a sick sister to support. How convenient for her that you're so easily manipulated by a pretty face and a hard-luck tale." Maya had endured enough. "You don't know anything about me," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Or about Alex, apparently, if you think he can be so easily manipulated. The man I know, the man I've always known, sees people for who they really are, not for what they can do for him." Richard Westlake, who had been watching the exchange with sharp eyes, spoke up. "Miss Collins makes an excellent point, Camille. Perhaps if you had taken the time to truly know my son rather than his bank account, we wouldn't be in this unpleasant situation." Camille's face flushed with anger. "You're taking her side? This gold-digging nobody?" "I'm taking the side of truth," Richard replied calmly. "And the truth, as I see it, is that you've orchestrated this smear campaign out of spite. Unfortunately for you, the Westlake legal team is quite adept at handling defamation cases." He turned to Maya. "I apologize for involving you in this distasteful scene, Miss Collins. Rest assured, we will address these libelous publications immediately." Maya felt Alex's hand on the small of her back, a silent gesture of support that gave her strength. "Thank you, Mr. Westlake, but I'm not concerned about my reputation. People who matter know the truth." Richard studied her with new interest. "Well said." Camille stood abruptly. "This isn't over, Alexander. My father will pull his investment when he hears about this." "That's his prerogative," Alex replied evenly. "But I think you'll find that Westlake Technologies will survive without Porter financing." After Camille stormed out, Richard dismissed Vivian and the other executives, leaving only himself, Alex, and Maya in the conference room. "So," the older man said, turning his penetrating gaze on Maya, "you're the girl from Mayberry High." Maya's eyes widened in surprise. "You know about that?" "I know most things about my son," Richard replied, "including the fact that he spent a summer looking for you instead of starting at MIT. I thought it was foolish adolescent infatuation at the time." His expression softened slightly. "Perhaps I was wrong." Richard Westlake's gaze shifted between his son and Maya, assessing them with the shrewd eyes of a man who had built an empire through understanding people's true motivations. "I admire loyalty," he said finally, "and integrity, two qualities that seem increasingly rare these days." He gathered the tabloid magazines into a neat stack. "Our legal team will handle these publications. The stories will be retracted by morning." "Thank you, Father," Alex said, his hand still steady on Maya's back. Richard nodded, then fixed his attention on Maya. "Ms. Collins, I understand you're a chef of considerable talent." Maya blinked, surprised by the change in topic. "I've been fortunate to train with some excellent mentors." Modesty. Another admirable quality. Richard's expression remained unreadable. "Alex tells me you're developing a business plan for your own restaurant." "It's in the early stages," Maya admitted. "I'd be interested in seeing it when it's ready." Richard stood, signaling the end of the conversation. "Not as a potential investor, though that remains a possibility, but as someone who appreciates ambition coupled with skill." After Richard left, Alex turned to Maya, concern etched on his face. "I'm so sorry about this. I never thought Camille would go this far." "It's not your fault," Maya said, though her mind was still reeling from the vicious headlines. "But Alex, maybe Camille has a point. Not about me being a gold digger," she added quickly, seeing his expression darken. "But about how this looks. You're ending an engagement with someone from your world to pursue a relationship with, well, me." "Someone from my world," Alex repeated, frustration evident in his voice. "Maya, you still don't understand. You are my world. You always have been. The rest of this," he gestured around the opulent conference room, "is just circumstance. It's not who I am." "Isn't it, though?" Maya asked gently. "At least part of who you are now." Alex was silent for a moment, considering her words. "Yes," he acknowledged finally, "but it's not all I am, and it's certainly not what matters most to me." In the days that followed, the tabloid stories disappeared from newsstands and websites, replaced by brief, carefully worded retractions. Maya was grateful for the swift action, but found herself increasingly uncertain about her place in Alex's life. The contrast between their worlds had never been more apparent. While she continued working her final shifts at Bella Luna, fielding curious questions from coworkers who had seen the tabloids, Alex was photographed at high-profile business events and charity galas. The gulf between them seemed to widen with each passing day, despite their growing emotional reconnection. Then, one evening, Emily received the call they'd been waiting for. She had been accepted to the artist's residency program in New Mexico. "Full scholarship," Emily announced, her voice trembling with excitement, "and they have a medical support program that will cover most of my treatments." "Maya, this is really happening." Maya hugged her sister tightly, joy and bittersweet anticipation mingling in her heart. "I'm so proud of you, Em. When do you leave?" 3 weeks, Emily said, pulling back to meet Maya's eyes. "Which means we need to figure out what you're doing next." "I'm not leaving until I know you have a plan." Maya smiled. "As it happens, I do have a plan. I've been working on that business proposal for Alex's foundation. It's almost ready to submit." Emily studied her sister's face. "And what about Alex himself? Where does he fit into this plan?" "That's complicated," Maya admitted. "I care about him, more than I expected to. But his world is so different from mine. Those tabloid stories made that painfully clear." "Different doesn't mean incompatible," Emily pointed out. "Maybe instead of focusing on the differences, you should focus on what connects you." The next day, Maya received a text from Alex asking her to meet him at an address in North Beach, not far from the French restaurant where they dined. Curious, she arrived to find a small storefront with papered-over windows. Alex was waiting outside, looking uncharacteristically nervous. "What is this place?" Maya asked. Instead of answering, Alex handed her a key. "See for yourself." Confused, Maya unlocked the door and stepped inside. The space was empty but full of potential. High ceilings, exposed brick walls, large windows that would fill the room with natural light. At the back, she could see a doorway that presumably led to a kitchen area. "I don't understand," she said, turning to Alex, who had followed her inside. "This space became available last week," he explained. "It's about the size you described for your dream restaurant. 25 seats. Intimate. Personal." Maya's heart began to race. "Alex, what are you saying?" "I'm not saying anything yet," he replied carefully. "I wanted you to see it first, to feel if it's right. The location is good. Foot traffic. Nearby parking. Residential neighborhood with disposable income." Maya walked around the empty space, envisioning tables arranged just so, the warm lighting she would install, the colors she would choose for the walls. It was perfect. Exactly what she had described to Alex over dinner. "If you're interested," Alex continued, "the space can be held for 2 weeks while you finalize your business plan and secure financing." Maya stopped her exploration to face him directly. "And where would this financing come from?" "That's up to you," Alex said simply. "You could apply for a traditional small business loan. You could seek private investors. You could apply to the Westlake Foundation grant program, as we discussed. Or," he hesitated, "you could accept my personal investment as a silent partner." Maya felt the familiar instinct to refuse help, to insist on doing everything herself. But Emily's words echoed in her mind. "Maybe it's time to consider what you want for once." "I need to think about this," she said finally. Alex nodded, unsurprised. "Of course. Take all the time you need." As they left the space, Alex locked the door behind them. "Whatever you decide about the restaurant, Maya, there's something else we need to discuss." The seriousness in his tone made her pause. "What is it?" "Not here," he said. "Would you have dinner with me tonight? At my place?" The invitation to his home, a line they hadn't yet crossed in their reconnection, felt significant. Okay, Maya agreed, curious despite her reservations. That evening, Maya arrived at Alex's address to find not the ostentatious mansion she had expected, but a surprisingly modest penthouse apartment overlooking the bay. The space was elegant but comfortable, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing a spectacular view of the Golden Gate Bridge. "This isn't what I pictured," Maya admitted as Alex took her coat. He smiled. "The Westlake Estate belongs to my father. This is my place. I prefer to live more simply." "You call this simple?" Maya gestured to the breathtaking view. "Compared to the mansion, yes," Alex said with a self-deprecating shrug. "I only stay there when business requires it." In the kitchen, Maya was pleased to discover high-end appliances and a well-stocked pantry. Alex had prepared ingredients for dinner but asked for her guidance in putting them together. "I remember you always loved to cook," he explained, handing her an apron. "I thought maybe we could cook together, like we used to dream about." The simple gesture, remembering a detail from their shared past that most would have forgotten, touched Maya deeply. They worked side by side, falling into an easy rhythm as they prepared a meal together. For a few hours, the complications of their situation faded away, replaced by the simple pleasure of creating something wonderful with someone who understood your passion. Over dinner, Alex finally broached the subject he'd alluded to earlier. "I've been doing a lot of thinking since the incident with Camille and the tabloids," he began. "About who I am, what I want. The life I've built versus the life I thought I'd have." Maya set down her fork, giving him her full attention. "And what conclusions have you reached?" "That I've been living someone else's version of success," Alex said, his voice thoughtful. "Richard saved me in many ways, gave me opportunities, mentored me, even adopted me. I'm grateful for all of it. But somewhere along the way, I started making choices based on what was expected of me, rather than what I truly wanted." "Like getting engaged to Camille?" Maya asked gently. Alex nodded. "That's the most obvious example, yes, but there are others. The company has been moving in a direction I'm not entirely comfortable with, more focused on profit margins than innovation, more concerned with market share than meaningful impact." "Have you talked to Richard about this?" "Not yet," Alex admitted, "but I plan to. I'm preparing to propose a major restructuring, spinning off a new division focused on technology for social good, separate from the main company's profit-driven enterprises." Maya could see the passion in his eyes as he described his vision, using Westlake's resources and expertise to develop affordable medical technology, educational tools for underserved communities, and sustainable energy solutions. "It sounds amazing," she said sincerely. "But why are you telling me this now?" Alex reached across the table to take her hand. "Because I'm done making decisions based on what others expect. I'm ready to build the life I actually want, personally and professionally. And Maya," his voice softened, "you're a part of that vision. You always have been." The directness of his declaration both thrilled and terrified her. "Alex, we've only been reconnected for a few weeks. So much has changed." "I know," he interrupted gently. "I'm not asking for promises or commitments. I'm just being honest about what I want and where I see this going. The question is, what do you want, Maya?" It was the same question Emily had been asking her, the one Maya had been avoiding for years. What did she want, separate from her obligations and responsibilities to others? "I want to cook again," she said slowly, finding her way to the truth as she spoke. "Not just at a job, but with passion and purpose. I want to create a space that feels like home to people, where the food tells a story and creates connection. And I want—" She hesitated, then took a breath. "I want to stop being afraid of letting people close to me, of letting myself need someone." Alex's expression was tender as he squeezed her hand. "That's a good start." Later that night, as they stood at his door saying goodnight, Maya made a decision. Rising, on her tiptoes, she kissed him. Not the gentle, tentative kiss they had shared before, but something deeper, an acknowledgement of the feelings growing between them. When they finally parted, Alex rested his forehead against hers. "Stay," he whispered. Maya's heart raced at the invitation, but she shook her head gently. "Not yet. There's something I need to do first." The next morning, Maya sat at her small kitchen table, laptop open before her, fingers flying across the keyboard as she completed her business plan. The vision was clearer than ever, a restaurant named Roots, offering seasonal cuisine that honored both her classical training and the comfort food traditions she'd grown up with. Emily found her still working hours later. "You look inspired," she observed, pouring herself tea. "I am," Maya confirmed without looking up. "I'm going to take the space Alex showed me." Emily smiled. "I knew it. And how are you financing this venture?" Maya finally paused, meeting her sister's eyes. "I'm going to apply for the Westlake Foundation grant, but I'm also accepting Alex's offer to be a silent partner, with conditions. It will be a proper business arrangement with clear terms, not a gift or a favor. If the restaurant succeeds, he gets a return on his investment. If it fails, he accepts the loss like any other investor would." "Sounds like you've thought this through," Emily said approvingly. "And what about Alex himself?" "The man, not the investor." A soft smile spread across Maya's face. "I'm giving us a real chance. No more hiding behind excuses or fears." 2 weeks later, as Emily prepared for her move to New Mexico, Maya signed the lease on the North Beach space. The Westlake Foundation had approved her grant application, judged anonymously by a panel of industry experts, as Alex had promised, providing enough capital to cover renovations and initial operating costs. Alex's investment as a silent partner would serve as a financial cushion during the critical first year. On the morning of Emily's departure, the sisters stood in their apartment, surrounded by packed boxes. Some would go with Emily to her new life in New Mexico. Others would move with Maya to the smaller apartment she'd found closer to the restaurant. "I can't believe this is really happening," Emily said, tears glistening in her eyes. "Both of us starting new chapters at the same time." Maya hugged her sister tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Em. You're going to create amazing art. And you're going to create amazing food," Emily replied, squeezing her back. "Just promise me one thing. Anything. Promise me you'll let yourself be happy, really happy, without guilt or reservations." Maya nodded, her own eyes filling with tears. "I promise." After Emily's flight departed, Maya drove directly to the restaurant space. The contractors would begin work the following day, transforming the empty storefront into her vision. As she stood in the center of the room, Imagining the future, the door opened behind her. Alex entered, carrying a small potted herb plant. "Housewarming gift," he explained with a smile. "Every kitchen needs fresh basil." Maya accepted the plant, touched by the thoughtful gesture. "How did you know I'd be here?" "Educated guess," he replied. "How was saying goodbye to Emily?" "Harder than I expected," Maya admitted, "but also right. She needs this chance to build her own life, away from my overprotective shadow." Alex stepped closer, taking her hand. "And what about you? What do you need?" Maya looked around the empty space that would soon become her restaurant, then back at the man who had re-entered her life so unexpectedly. The answer was suddenly crystal clear. "This," she said simply. "A chance to create something meaningful. And you. I need you, Alex, not your money or your connections or your influence. Just you." The months that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Maya threw herself into the restaurant preparations, working alongside contractors, choosing equipment, designing menus, and hiring staff. Alex divided his time between Westlake Technologies, where he had indeed proposed his social impact division to Richard, receiving cautious but genuine support, and helping Maya wherever she would allow it. Their relationship deepened with each passing day, built on a foundation of shared history but focused on their present and future. They learned to navigate the occasional intrusions of the press, the raised eyebrows of San Francisco society, and the inevitable challenges of merging their different worlds. 1 month before Roots was scheduled to open, Alex took Maya to a small, secluded beach north of the city. As the sun set over the Pacific, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, he knelt in the sand before her. 15 years ago, I promised myself that if I ever found you again, I wouldn't let you go," he said, his voice steady, despite the emotion in his eyes. "Maya Collins, you are the most extraordinary person I've ever known. Your strength, your talent, your compassion, they humble and inspire me every day. Will you marry me?" The ring he offered was not the ostentatious diamond one might expect from a billionaire, but a simple band of rose gold, set with a small sapphire that matched the color of her eyes. "Yes," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I'll marry you, Xander West." His smile at the use of his old name was radiant as he slipped the ring onto her finger and rose to kiss her. Opening night at Roots was a triumph beyond Maya's wildest expectations. The intimate space glowed with warm light, every table filled with a mix of food critics, industry professionals, and regular San Franciscans eager to try the new restaurant everyone was talking about. In the kitchen, Maya moved with confident precision, directing her small team through service with calm authority. The menu she had created told her story, classical French techniques applied to dishes inspired by her multicultural American upbringing. Each played a perfect balance of familiarity and surprise. As the last desserts were served, Maya finally stepped out from the kitchen to speak with her guests. The dining room erupted in applause, led by Alex, who sat at a corner table with Richard Westlake and, to Maya's delight, Emily, who had flown in secretly for the opening. Later that night, after the last guests had departed and the kitchen was cleaned, Maya sat with her family, both old and new, at a table in her restaurant. Emily's latest paintings hung on one wall, specially created for the space. Alex's arm rested comfortably around Maya's shoulders. Richard, who had begun to soften his formidable demeanor in recent months, raised a glass in toast. "To Maya," he said with genuine admiration, "for reminding us all that true success comes not from wealth or status, but from pursuing one's passion with integrity and courage. And to second chances," Alex added, his eyes full of love as he gazed at Maya, "for proving that it's never too late to find your way back to what matters most." As their glasses clinked together, Maya looked around at the restaurant she had created, at the sister who was thriving in her new independence, at the man who had returned to her life against all odds, and felt a sense of completion she had never thought possible. The path had not been straight or easy. There had been sacrifices and painful choices, moments of doubt and fear, but standing here now, surrounded by love and the fruits of her passion, Maya knew that every step, even the missteps, had led her exactly where she was meant to be. In the years that followed, Roots would earn a Michelin star, recognition as one of San Francisco's essential dining experiences, and a reputation for launching the careers of talented young chefs from disadvantaged backgrounds. The Westlake Social Impact Division, under Alex's leadership, would develop affordable medical technologies that revolutionized treatment options for conditions like Emily's rheumatoid arthritis. And Maya and Alex, married in a simple ceremony on the same beach where he had proposed, would build a life that bridged their different worlds. One foot in the rarefied air of tech innovation and philanthropy, the other firmly planted in the soulful creativity of food and community. Their story would become something of a legend in San Francisco. The tech billionaire and the chef childhood sweethearts reunited against all odds. But the reality was both simpler and more profound than the legend. Two people who found the courage to recognize their true selves in each other, despite the world's expectations and their own fears. As for Camille Porter, her attempted smear campaign ultimately backfired. The public exposure of her tactics damaged her social standing far more than Maya and Alex's relationship ever could have. In a twist that amused Emily greatly, Camille eventually launched her own lifestyle brand focused on, quote, authentic living, a concept she had learned the hard way after her very inauthentic engagement imploded so publicly. On the 5th anniversary of Roots' opening, Maya stood in the kitchen of her restaurant, watching her team prepare for service. The space had evolved over the years but retained its intimate, personal character. Through the pass, she could see Alex chatting with regular customers, as comfortable in this environment as he was in corporate boardrooms. Her phone buzzed with a text from Emily, who was preparing for her first major gallery show in Santa Fe. Thinking of you today, sis. 5 years of dreams coming true. So proud of you. Maya smiled, typing back a quick response before returning to the kitchen to create the evening's special, a dish that celebrated both where she had come from and where she had arrived. As she worked, the weight of the rose gold band on her finger reminded her of the journey that had brought her here. From lost and overwhelmed young woman to confident chef. From someone who believed love was a luxury she couldn't afford, to someone who recognized it as the foundation of everything worthwhile. The headlines had been wrong. She wasn't a gold digger who had snared a billionaire. She was a woman who had found the courage to reclaim her passion, to accept help without shame, and to open her heart to a love that had always been meant for her. And that was a story worth telling. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.